Hey guys, Terrence here again from Neptune Systems with another episode of Let's Talk Reef. Thanks for joining me here today on another Tuesday. It's now summertime, finally just about everywhere in the country, and we're going to talk a little bit about summer later in the show. We've got a great show for you guys here today. We're going to be talking about some of our tanks here in the office. A lot of us here in the office are reef keepers, so we have tanks here. I don't have one here yet. I'm in a new office, so hopefully you guys can help me with that. We'll show you where the space is later, and we'll show you some of these guys' reef tanks. I think it's going to be really, really fun. I'm going to talk at the end with Paul in front of his tank, which has matured so awesome in about a year and a half or so, and he'll give us some insight on that. But we're going to talk about a few things. We obviously got some Trident news here. I've got your comments coming in, which is awesome. You guys are joining like crazy here. We got a lot of people. I've got, wow, we're already up over 70 people here in the live stream, both out on Facebook and YouTube. So make sure you guys share it so we can get this number up. We can get a lot of people watching the show. Make me happy, make my boss happy, make everybody happy that we have a lot of people joining us in here at Let's Talk Reef. So let's go down the list of some of the stuff. First of all, as always, I like to see that you guys subscribe, like and subscribe to the channel, of course. There's lots of ways to do that. I know that I cover this every time, but in Facebook, you just have to go select that you want to see it first and that you want to get notifications about it. Obviously, when you're in YouTube, you just subscribe there, and you can also set the alerts. So if you do that, we'd really appreciate it, and you're going to like it because you get to join us live and not just see it later on because you forgot about the show. Next up, really cool stuff. We've got the U.S. tour for Neptune Systems. We're going through the year like crazy. We've gone through a lot of small shows, and we've got some big ones coming up. The first one that we have coming up here, or the next one that we have coming up, is a big one. It's Reefapalooza in New York. It's actually in New Jersey, but they call it Reefapalooza New York. That is on the 22nd of the month. Now, there is some really cool things happening at this event. Obviously, we're going to have our booth there. Obviously, we're going to have the Trident there so you can take a look at it. But we are also finding a way that a small number of the local, or I should say the people that are the vendors that are exhibiting there that are our dealers, some of them will have Tridents to sell at the event. So it gives you yet another reason to want to go to Reefapalooza and check out what's going on there, because if you're looking to get a Trident, this may be the way to get one. Now, if you don't get one because you were able to get one from one of these vendors, we also are going to be giving away a Trident at Reefapalooza. That's right, we're going to have a Trident available for raffle at Reefapalooza. We don't have all the details yet how it's going to work, but we're definitely going to raffle one off, and it should be a huge deal there. So make sure you show up to the show. I think we're going to do it on Saturday. You know, and who knows, maybe we'll have a runners-up drawing for Sunday for something else on Sunday from the people who got raffle tickets on Saturday. Got a lot of people rolling in here. Looks like we got Cody. Thanks for coming, Cody. We've got, I think I just saw Richard here, Rob Moget out of Colorado. He says, I need a unicorn sticker. I've got a few left. We did a limited run of unicorn stickers. But as if there wasn't enough things to come to Reefapalooza for, I ordered some of the Believe shirts. So it's got the same thing. It's on the sticker. It's on the back. It's got the unicorn, the Trident unicorn, and it says Believe. So that's definitely some other reason to come by. If you come by our booth, you're a Trident owner. I don't know. Maybe you whisper sweet nothings into Tom's ear. Maybe he's going to reach behind and grab you a unicorn T-shirt. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, Nancy just showed up here. I got Nancy, Maria. Thanks for joining us, guys. It's going to be a pretty cool show here. So we've got coming up. We've got Reefapalooza, as I said, and looks like we're not going to be doing Aquashella in Chicago because we've got another show in Chicago, which is Reefapalooza. Coming up not too far off. They moved the Aquashella date from August into October, and that was not going to work out for us. Now, let's just show these dates here. So here's the Reefapalooza dates. So we got the 22nd and 23rd. Then we got August 17th and 18th after that here in Southern California in Orange County, the original Reefapalooza put on by the Southern California Marine Aquarium Society down there. Great event in an incredible venue that Reefapalooza is down there. So I encourage you to come out to that as well if you're in the area. We also have Chicago coming up, October 19th and 20th. That's the Reefapalooza Chicago. It's the first time they're doing a Reefapalooza in Chicago. Should be interesting. I don't know what to expect yet, but if it's anything like the rest of the Reefapaloozas, they are great events, and if you're in the Chicago area, you're going to want to attend that. Now, what comes after that, the next big thing, there's a lot of other small events that you'll see us at, and they were on that calendar, but it is MACNA. That's right, MACNA is going to be in Orlando this year. If you haven't got your tickets, get them before they're sold out. Get room before it's sold out. I saw Rob here on the channel. Rob is, maybe he's got some of the information on that he'll share in the comments here in a minute. But definitely a great event every year. We've been going, I think Kurt, the founder of the company, has been going, 20, 21 years, something like that. So it's a crazy amount of time that we've been to this event, and we love it. We sponsor a big part of it. We sponsor the speaker rooms for the show. We also have our morning event that we do every year, our Apex Users MACNA Meetup. So definitely, if you want to have a great vacation and come to a great show, come out to MACNA. All right. Now, next up, let's talk about some local fish stores. Okay. So, we like to give a dealer shout out here on Let's Talk Reef. Just about every week we like to give some appreciation to some of the dealers out there that really put in the extra effort for carrying our products, informing their customers, having staff that really knows how to help the customers, stocking the product, making it available so anybody even on a weekend can just walk in and pick up just about anything they want from a local fish store. And this time we're going to be talking about FJW, which is down in Houston, Texas. So a shout out to you guys down there, Dennis. Thank you for being a dealer for so many years and carrying our products. I've got a couple of pictures here of FJW. So here's the front of the place down there. Oh, let's get rid of that other little FJW there. I have not been to this store yet myself. I've been to Texas a number of times. For some reason, I haven't just got down to Houston, but it is on my list of must-sees. And here is, look at this. If you need something Neptune Systems, these guys have it. They don't even have enough room in the cabinets to put that stuff away. So they always have a fully stocked house full of Neptune Systems gear, and they know how to talk about it and to tell you, if you're having an issue. If you're wondering what piece you need, they're the guys to go to. Oh, God, look, Jonathan, one of the friends of Dennis is saying, got a shout out. So absolutely. Thank you, Dennis, again from FJW. Now, often we've been told that we leave out our friends in the north, but we're not doing it today because we have a relatively new dealer up in Canada, and it's Candy Corals. And these guys have an amazing store. I'm going to show you some pictures in a second, and I'm going to absolutely blow saying this city that they're in. It's Mississauga, Canada. So you guys can tell me if any of you guys know if I said it correctly, but trying to do the best I can with some of these names. Let's see some pictures of this place because they got amazing tanks here. Let's see. So here's a bunch of the livestock tanks. You can see they got some of them with T5, other ones with the Radion lights over them. I can count 4 of them right here of those tanks. Lots of beautiful corals in there. Of course, they're sporting the orange posters around the store. We love that. But look at this. This is just amazing. Look at all the scolies in here, all the euphyllias, the brain corals. They are just stocked with some of the best corals I've seen a store have. Again, I haven't been to this store myself, but it's certainly on the list if I get up to the cold north. Definitely gonna give this one a shot. But the best part, obviously, of their store for me is that. I mean, is that going the extra mile for the Neptune Systems brand or what? They've got a whole Neptune Systems logo, 3D cut on the wall. They've got a great cabinet with all the products on display. They have all of the know-how and the knowledge to help you guys out if you're up in that particular area. and go check them out. And if they didn't see this on here, you let them know that we gave a shout out to Candy Corals on Let's Talk Reef. And thanks for being a dealer, Candy Corals. And I think it's Afnon out there. Thank you, Afnon, for being part of the Neptune Systems team in Canada. Okay. Next news we have is let's talk about some Trident things. We're not going to go too deep into stuff in today's episode, but we want to talk about Trident. Look at this. Devin's out there going, you know, where's Nancy? How's Nancy doing? Well, that Nancy's my wife too, but Nancy McRae's on the on the thing. So whenever I see how's Nancy, I keep thinking somebody's asking about the Apex mom, Nancy, but no. So Trident things. What has been going on with Trident? Well, first and foremost, you guys are probably wondering, how can I get one? Don't these guys want to sell us a Trident? We absolutely do, and we are shipping them each and every day out to dealers across the country. It's still a situation where there's way more demand than there is supply. The dealers, if they have them, they're able to sell them. If they don't, they're not supposed to be doing pre-orders and whatnot, because we don't want you guys to get locked up with a dealer that may not get enough inventory to even get down the list to you. But I do know, I think I saw on, I think on our group, on our Facebook group today, that Bulk Reef Supply put some on their site again today, and a bunch of people got Tridents. So I can't tell you that it's going to ease up anytime soon. We're building them as fast as we can. We have to test these. I mean, we have to build them. We have to verify that they're working. We have to calibrate them. We have to burn them in and test them. They're run for many hours to make sure that they're running correctly. So it isn't like saying to a manufacturing company, hey, we'd like 1,000 pumps or something like that. You actually have to spend a lot more time with these to make sure that they meet the requirements that we've put out there for the Trident, and also that we deliver a quality product to you guys. So please bear with us. We're doing the absolute best we can to push these out the door as fast as we can. Have a little patience, and they're coming. I'm sure it's going to ease up down the road at some point. I don't know when, because it's crazy how much demand there is. Okay, the next thing that is a topic of discussion that I saw out there was the reagent remaining in the bottles. So when we ship when you get the Trident, you get bottles of reagent. The outside of the box says that it's a month's worth of reagent, even though it's the same 2 months supply that we give when you get a reagent reorder. Okay, the difference is that we know that when you're starting up, it's going to be priming. You're going to be doing some manual tests. You're going to do some calibration. And so we wanted to be on the conservative side and tell people that there was just 1 month. That said, when the Trident goes through and uses up the reagent, we don't want the bottle to go completely empty, because we never want the tube in the bottom of the bottle to draw air, because it's going to give you a false reading. So we provide enough tests in the bottle, we overfill them essentially, so that you will get those 120 or even 125 tests out of the bottle before you're going to run out of reagent. And that's how we get to the month, because it's 30 days at 4 tests a day at the minimum level. So that's why you will see that there's reagent left in the bottom of the bottle. The best thing to do is to toss that. The one thing you don't want to do is pour that into the new one or save it and add them up, because that reagent has already been exposed to air for a number of days. It's going to be different than the one that you just open up. If you want, and we don't necessarily recommend this, you could reset the reagent, like reagent A, and then you would basically be still drawing out of that same bottle even till it was possibly empty, and you would have that problem with getting a bad reading if you wanted to use up all of that reagent. Not something that we'd recommend, and if you had an error statement, you'd know when that happened. But it is something that you could do if you absolutely felt that you had to use up all of that reagent. Anyway, so that's that particular reagent question. The other question that we have is as we've talked about, we've had an issue with reagent bottles leaking in some of the packaging, and we've been doing a bunch of testing. We've been packaging things differently to prevent reagent from leaking into other areas. And we've been trying to figure out this problem. We think we have it nailed down yet. I can't exactly say what it is, but the only hint I can give you on this is although these two bottles look identical, they're not. And this bottle, the white one, the one that you'll see in all the videos, and you're wondering, why is that one white and the ones I got were gray? The white one is actually the one that we bought originally to do all of our testing, and it was an off-the-shelf, obviously, color in white. And when we went to production, we went to gray. So all the NSI guys got shipped out many, many, many bottles of the white reagent, and they didn't leak. And when we went to the gray bottles, they leaked. So we have a pretty good idea of what the problem is, and we've already implemented changes as of the beginning of this week in terms of anything that we shipped out since the beginning of this week. So in that case, we're hoping that our changes are going to fix this problem, and tune in 2 weeks and we'll have a much better idea. So I hope that gives you guys a little bit of inside information. We try to be as upfront and honest as we can with you guys about what's going on, and you know, it's something we're fixing. Okay, next up. I haven't done any kind of reef tips in a while, or kind of things that aren't directly related to the Neptune Systems products. So I wanted to do a couple of today, but before I do that, let's see if I've got any questions here. You guys have so many. Well, gosh, how many people we got? We got 142 people on the thread right now. We got a lot of comments. Let me see if I can find any questions on here. There are just so many people. Okay, let's see. Some of these are being sold on eBay. I wish I could help that, guys, but I mean, it is the situation with demand. I don't see any questions. I see lots of comments, but give me some questions, guys. On the next break, I will answer some of the questions for sure. And let's see. You deserve Control Freak of the Week. Geo's Reef wants to see Control Freak of the Week to show off the Neptune Systems control boards. Yeah, I need to go back. I have done that before a couple of times. I should go back to that. Tony Millsap says, why can't we order more reagents? Reagents are available at neptunesystems.com/reagents. So you can go get them there. At some point in the very near future, we'll have them out in the channel. Meaning you can buy them from some of the major dealers, major local fish stores, and major online dealers. Somebody asked, can you buy just the ALK reagents instead of all three? Nope, not at this point, because there is a particular ratio that you need to test with for certain reasons we've gone into before. Will you ever have a battery backup system for the Apex? It's possible. Like lots of things are possible on the on the roadmap of products. I mean, you can imagine we have whiteboards here that are filled with things that we'd love to do. So there's just about anything is possible, guys. Can the Trident control more than one dose? Absolutely. You definitely can control multiple. Each head on a Trident can be controlled by any piece of the data on dose can be controlled by any piece of the data that comes from the Trident. Okay, let's see here. Afnan came on. He's thanking me for the shout out. Welcome to Let's Talk Reef, Afnan. Thanks for joining us. Okay. All right, well, let's do this. That's the Trident stuff. Let's go into the reef tips. As I said, I want to talk about a couple of things here. So the first one, if I can pull it up. Okay, first thing is it's getting into summertime now, and lots of people's tanks are getting warmer. Now, most people nowadays don't need chillers, like in days of old with the with all the metal halides that created a lot of heat over your tank. You often would have to have a chiller. Nowadays, you don't have to have that, but there are certain times of the year where maybe your tank isn't getting super dangerously hot, but it's getting warmer to where it's throwing off your tank. I mean, we like to keep our tanks as stable as possible. You don't want to have to go out and buy a super expensive chiller to get you there. And on top of that, often you want to have on hand something in case you have kind of an emergency situation. Say your air conditioning in your house isn't working during the summer or whatnot. To have something on hand to help you cool down the tank maybe when you're not there. Now, you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on this. And I know a lot of you guys are probably familiar with this. So bear with me, those of you that know this, because I'm sure there's some people that have not done this yet on their tanks, and it's probably a pretty good idea to do it. Even if you think that your tank never gets warm, just as an emergency, to have it on hand for emergencies. And that's a clip-on fan. In the case of having a smaller tank with a sump, you clip this up under your sump, either to some part of the stand underneath or to the sump itself. You plug it into one of your energy bars, and we have a quick little wizard that allows you to set the temperature so that when the tank exceeds that particular temperature, the fan comes on. You point it right there at the top of the water in your sump, and just through evaporation, it's going to drop the temperature in your tank very quickly and very efficiently. You're going to use up more water in your auto top-off, but for the $10 to $15, maybe at the most $20 for a really nice one that you would get, it's really going to save you a lot of issues and give you a little bit more time. For instance, if your air conditioning goes off and your tank temperature is rising, you can have this thing kick in and buy you a little more time to get home and to take care of the problem. Now, if you're someone who has a much bigger tank like me, you have more options available to you, and you have the ability to cool down that tank even more. And that is, for less than 20 bucks, you can get one of these big box fans. Like when I was growing up, we didn't have air conditioning. My mom just had these in like every window in the house, and this is how we cooled down. But you can get one and hang it over your tank. If you can hang it over directly above, I actually recommended this to one of my reef buddies in Utah. You can get it out of the way, just blowing straight down onto your sump or your water vat or what have you. Or like me, I actually have it sitting on the edge of my sump, kind of tied up, kind of restrained there, so it blows across my entire 7 feet of my sump. So it's definitely something that is really helpful for a very little amount of money. Mine only comes on for a couple hours a day, even in the summer, but it means I don't have to have my tank go above 80, and I don't have to buy a chiller. So that's my first reef tip. Now, let's see here. Okay. Next up, reef tip number 2. So now number 2 is one that I actually learned this piece of information from Justin Credible. Yeah, that's his name. Many of you guys do know who he is. Way back when, this is probably 6-7 years ago, I think in one of his talks, he introduced everybody to a way to clean algae off of your frag plugs. And it was kind of avant-garde at the time, and he's kind of an avant-garde guy. He does some weird things. He likes to keep his potassium levels at like 550 to 600. Does just crazy things on reefs. But I've got a video here. This video is actually by Billy Pipes online. I don't even think he's a Neptune customer, but I wanted to give him a shout out and show this video because it was the best one I found to illustrate what you can do for cleaning these frags. So let's take a look at this video. Here's his intro. It's pretty awesome. Actually, he's got some really good videos out there with different tips and tricks on things. He's got about 8,000 subs, I think. Anyway, so using hydrogen peroxide, you actually can take regular hydrogen peroxide and throw your frag into there, which just seems like crazy, right? And after a little while, shortly actually, you'll start to see these bubbles come off, and you'll think that your coral is melting away and you're killing it. This is what I thought, at least. And more bubbles come and more bubbles come, and you're like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? You leave it in there about a minute. He says 2 minutes max, but I like it for about a minute. And it just starts melting away. You'll even see some of the algae start to float off, right? And kind of come off. If you have it really bad, you can even take a toothbrush, a really soft toothbrush, and kind of help it along in the in there, and then dip it in some separate salt water just to get the hydrogen peroxide off there. And some of the, again, you can take off some of it with a toothbrush. He says use a turkey baster. That's also another way to do it. And at the end, you're, basically in a day, it's pretty interesting too, because the fish, if you put it back in your tank, the fish will actually eat some of the algae off of it that's pulling off. I guess their teeth are going to get whiter. But then you get this super nice, clean frag plug, and I have never had a coral die because of it, and I've done a ton of different corals this way. This is me. Neptune Systems isn't endorsing the method. You can try it. You can go look at a lot of videos of people doing it, but it is definitely something I've tried. Again, if you guys want, go out to Billy Pipes, subscribe to his channel, give the guy a shout out or whatever. Tell him you saw it on Let's Talk Reef. He'll probably get a kick out of that. And another thing I use this hydrogen peroxide for is I have 1 or 2 different little patches of bryopsis in my tank, and I don't like, using the nuclear option for small problems in a tank. So what I do is I use Julian's thing. I turn off all the pumps in my tank, and again, I've got a lot of water, so I've got the ability to do a lot of things that some people couldn't do, and you couldn't necessarily do this in 20 or 40 or maybe even 80 gallons of water, but I have 600 gallons of water. I take Julian's thing, I pull up a little bit of hydrogen peroxide, I put it in there right next to the bryopsis, I hit the bryopsis with it in the tank, and lo and behold, it shrinks up and dies like the next day. But again, you put hydrogen peroxide in your tank, there's other side effects. I'm not exactly endorsing it, especially for those people with small water volumes. But it is definitely a way to take care of it. Somebody wrote here, don't use it on shrooms. Yeah, I'm not a big mushroom guy, but I can see why that could cause a problem. So good tip there. Josh Watkins gave us that feedback. Again, you're on your own on this. It's just a little tip from my side. Go investigate on your own to see what's going on. Now, man, I'm hoarse. I don't have my water here today. Forgot my water thing. We're going to go on a walkabout now through Neptune systems a little bit. There's going to be some areas we're going to have to kind of hide the camera. Vincent will put his hand in front of the camera or point it down at the ground or something like that. But we're going to do this through Skype. I'm going to turn off my mic here. We're going to be on the other mic. We're going to turn that on, and we're going to check out some other aquariums in the office here. I said 3. I think it's going to be like 3.5, kind of, or 4, I guess, probably. So this hasn't been done before. At the end, we'll stop off in my office, and then you guys can see where, I hope to have a tank at some point. You guys can then give me some ideas on what I should do. So let me go ahead and enable that now. Vincent's waiting with the camera on Skype. So let me see here. Got that. Okay, so let's see. Let's turn off the other mic so you guys don't get double sound with a delay.
Okay, let's see. Hopefully you guys got me. You guys got me? Give me a thumbs up, somebody there. You still got me? Oh, you got echo. I think we're okay. The echo is going to go away in a second. Let's just make sure, because I had both mics on for a second there. Am I still echoing? Good now. Good. Jonathan Gordon said I'm good now. That's because I had both mics on for a while. All right, so you guys are seeing a little bit of the studio here. We're good. We're doing the walkabout. We're going to go out towards production. This is the area that, yeah, Vincent's now pointing down at my feet. Yes, I'm in shorts. I've got white legs. It's all quiet here, out in production. Now Vincent can go back online. Look at that. It's magic. This is actually a new area of Neptune systems. We just moved into this new space. We took new space and moved our production and everything around. And so now we're going to go from the new space, which is where the studio was. We're going to be going over into the old space, or the space we originally took. All right. This is kind of like the secondary lobby out here. The main lobby is over there. This is the first thing. I don't know if you guys have been seeing this on Instagram or not, but this is a brand new tank that's been in the process of being set up for way longer than it should have been. It belongs to Joe. Joe's up here. Get a close up there, Joe, for me. Okay. So Joe is not here right now, okay? Joe is playing hooky in Australia. So instead of interviewing Joe, I've got to give the lowdown on this tank that's, just been set up and put water in it just this last weekend. It's a really cool tank. Joe actually is one of our developers, our software developers. And this tank, well, not the tank, but the stand, it's funny because it's kind of like when you watch one of those car shows and they bring this car in, right? And they say, okay, we're going to completely redo this car and make it into this new hot rod. And they strip everything out of the car, and there's like nothing left except for like the bones of it, and everything else they put on is brand new. Well, this used to be Joe's tank, but the only thing I think here that was Joe's tank is the stand and the light rack above. Everything else is brand new, and he's been doing so much planning and work on it. Let me tell you about a few of the things in this tank, because he's done a good job putting some stuff together. First of all, the tank itself is from Innovative Marine, and this is a new aquarium that they've come up with that's called the 100 EXT, and it's an external overflow. So if you're used to seeing like the Red Sea kind of tanks, right, where you kind of do it yourself, but they have a great, rimless tank. This is the 100 EXT from Innovative Marine. It has an overflow box in the back, so you can put your regular, I don't know, what is it, your Herbies or your whatever kind of overflows that you want, your beans. But what's really cool too is the glass is super thick. I mean, this has got some nice thick glass on it. It's a great aquarium clear. It's got the ultra clear glass. So this is 100 gallons. I forget what he had on there before. Maybe it was like 80 gallons or something. He wanted to have it be a little bit taller. So his old aquarium was about to here, I think, and now he's gone up to there. So they just this weekend, he and Paul, or on Friday, did the rock stack on it. We've got some really sweet reef rock in here. It's from Real Reef. We've got the new branch. So we picked up some of the new branch from Real Reef and the shelf from Real Reef in here, along with some of Joe's rock that he had in his aquarium before that he had just been storing. So he's got a lot of places in here for him to put, you know, the SPS corals that he loves, because this is going to be a lot of SPS in this tank, I think. We've got it set up, obviously, with a couple of wave pumps in the back that you can't see. There's an MP40 over here on the back wall, which some of you might be thinking, why are you even using an Ecotech product on here? You know, they make great products. They do. It's just, it's where are you going to use them? What is the right function for them? I am not a fan at all of the Ecotech earmuff tank. I'm just not. I think it obscures a beautiful side of an aquarium that you can look through, and you have to see the pumps on the side wall. However, if you put them on the back wall, and especially if you have rock stacks and whatnot that you want to stir up the detritus, it's a great solution for that. And so that's exactly what Joe is doing here, and he's put it there, so as corals grow out, it's going to be blowing from behind there, while the waves do the rest of the action and really move a lot of water here. Now down below, this is really cool. So Joe designed with Geo's Reef, okay, with Sirdar and Geo's Reef, a custom sump just for this stand with all the things that he wanted to have in it. So from left to right over here, he's got the where the water comes in, obviously from the overflow, right? Then it goes into I think this is like a custom-made version of the Clarisea. I think it's a Clarisea. Yeah, it's a Clarisea. So it's got the guts of a Clarisea with the acrylic from Geo's Reef. And then it goes into the skimmer chamber where he's got, I think it's a Royal Exclusive, isn't it? Yeah, Royal Exclusive 160 in there. Skimmer, which I think he's just been breaking it in. It's not on right now. Obviously, the tank has to get cooking here. And then it has another little overflow box here, and then it goes into where he can have his carbon reactor. And then, obviously, up on top, he's got ways to valve those off. And then the far right box over here, this is what's really cool, is he's got his own little refugium area with a refugium light, and you can change the trickle on this, and it back pours over into the return section. Obviously, down below, he's got a core pump down there to bring the water back up top, and the really cool gray and orange plumbing. So this is a tank that is meant to be shown off in the front of Neptune Systems, and I can't wait for the thing to grow out. But definitely give your feedback to Joe. We'll follow it along here on Instagram and on Facebook from time to time, and come back over here as well on Let's Talk Reef. All right, let's go to the next one. Oh no, the light's off. Oh, how sad. Is it on timer?
Yeah, it's on the timer.
I mean, is it on an Apex?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's on a classic, but that's okay. So this is one of our support guys, Luis, over here. If any of you guys have ever spoken to Luis or Luis, this is his tank. He's got some Calistrea in here and some other things, and it's a cute little tank he's got by his thing. This is where John is, and this is a bunch of stuff that doesn't really matter. Now we're going over, and Vincent's got to get the right angle on this so you don't get to see stuff you're not supposed to see. Now we're in Russ's office. This is Russ's awesome tank, okay? So Russ put this tank in, I think about 8 to 10 months ago, maybe. And again, he designed up this board up here on top. It's so cool. It's showing off all of his Apex gear. And those of you guys who don't know Russ, he's the guy that, you know, created Reeftronics. He's the guy who came to us. He helped us get the community forum going. He manages the community forum. He's the guy to be nice to if you want to be on NSI, because he holds the grade on NSI. And so he put this together. He's got the AI primes up there. He's got all the goodies. He's got this cool mounting thing up here for the iPad so we can get his whole readout. And then in the tank, yeah, he's growing some SPS corals, some things various people like myself have given him, and stuff he got up at Neptune Aquatics, our local fish store here that we all love to go to. And yeah, he's got some cool frags, some great little clownfish. He's got coral beauty, some wrasses, but it's a nice little tank. Definitely one to be proud of. But we're leaving the best for last because we're going to be going over to Paul's tank. So we're going to go back this way. Oh, and Paul likes his lights off, but we can't have all the lights on.
I didn't agree to that. We didn't agree
So
to
we're
that.
in Paul's office, one or two.
It's fine.
Okay, so we're in Paul's office now.
Hey guys.
Okay. So Paul, how long have you had this tank going, man?
Since January of 2017.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I think
just over 2 years.
Yeah, just over 2 years. You know, it's a Red Sea 170. There is really nothing all that special about what I'm doing in this tank, except.
Oh, come on, Paul.
Really,
that's like almost disgusting humility.
To be honest, it's one of those tanks that I have, you know, that I've really tried to cut back my control freak in terms of messing with things as much as possible and just letting things happen. First off, no fish entered this tank probably for the first 4 or 5 months. You know, I was just putting food in here and letting the bacteria load build up. One thing that I did differently on this tank that I never had done before was I used calcium reactor media as my substrate, okay, and a little bit of sand sprinkled underneath each of the rocks. I really think this is probably one of the keys in this tank of it being successful. There is so much space for biomass, right? I essentially just
So let me slow you down here,
Yeah.
okay? Because I know I'm excited about it too.
Right.
So I think that's a very important point that Paul just made there, which is the biggest part of filtration that we have in our aquariums is places for the bacteria to grow and to do their thing, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, more often than not, in a small aquarium like this, you get a few rocks and you don't have as much surface area.
Right.
But just like, I mean, for this, very similar to like carbon pellets, right? The amount of surface area on any one of these particular little pieces of rubble
Right.
is huge, the amount of surface area. So having that whole thing of rubble down there creates a ton of surface area. And also, you know, you don't get some of the other issues with sand that, you know, it doesn't,
Right.
it ultimately it gets looking with the coralline, it just gets kind of an even look down on the bottom.
Yeah, I was a goby guy for sure before this tank. I love my gobies, you know, the yashas and trimas and all this different stuff. So guys that needed sand, and I did put sand hoping that I would be able to support that, but ultimately the calcium reactor media has just kind of filled over that. But I think that is truly one of the parts of this tank that has made this tank very successful. And you know, there's not a lot of surface area otherwise because I used a lot of shelf and branch, right? And so that rock isn't very porous, right? So it's not going to support a lot of bioload or anything like that. Beyond that, this was my first really dominant SPS tank, so I've learned some things for sure, as in terms of placement, in terms of how I would do my next rucksack. You can see kind of what I did with Joe over the weekend, but just a lot of
So Paul in the past has been very much about corals like this Bowerbanky down here.
Yeah,
and
that's a fantastic Bowerbanky.
And has been more of kind of a, you know, turned his nose up to people that were into the sticks. But with this particular tank, he decided, hey, I'm going to do an SPS tank for the most part,
right?
And see if I can't do SPS. And he's done an incredible job on this tank. What's the first coral that went in here?
The first coral was your
the high note was the first one.
Was your first coral, and he's just massive now. He's the biggest one.
Nice and furry.
My favorite coral, it's between the Walt Disney and the Ven. I love that Ven.
Yeah.
That Ven, when you get a top-down shot on it, it's epic. It has a lot of white in it. Your purple polyp Nasuda down here is really.
It grows like a weed too.
Yeah, it's really growing on me, so to speak. You know. That's
an unsung coral in terms of. You can really appreciate it how the nice white creamy texture of this like skin with the contrast to the bright purple.
It was a weird coral when it first started out because I thought it wasn't doing well, right? Because it was just so white.
Mhm.
And now that it's gotten bigger and you can see those purple blue polyps,
Yep.
you know, and then the white is just all the growth, right? Which
Yep.
the Trident has allowed me to definitely
We're
dial
gonna
that
kick in
in.
the Trident here. Okay.
Sorry guys, you know, so
Speaking of,
I've been
Yeah.
running
So
the-
Paul's running 2 Tridents over here. So
yeah,
one of the
I-
things too, Paul, is, you know, like all of us, myself too, my place is like a disaster for some of this reason, but
yeah.
there's, you know, we're always trying out different things and running different things and whatnot, so it's not always the prettiest setup and neat wires and everything, because it's impossible to do.
There is a plan for some new wire management coming in the over the summer sometime, but we got 2 Tridents running in tandem there that, you know, run to the
Let's see what's on underneath.
Nothing really special underneath. I have an eShop
Yeah,
S-Series skimmer. So many feather dusters. Thank you, Terrence. He came in probably 6 months into the tank being set up, just starting to get fish in there. And he gave me this rock that had a couple feather dusters on there. My entire sump is just filled with them.
Natural filtration, no doubt.
Yeah.
I got to do the same for Joe.
And then the only real service I do on this tank is anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks. The water change that happens to about here, which is roughly about 10 or 15 gallons. Because the water is so clean all the time.
Right.
I don't deal with a lot of shock issues or anything like that. I have an Apex, right, where I
And he is particular about his water.
Very particular about
He doesn't,
the water.
even if we have water that somebody else has made here,
I won't use
he
it.
will not use anybody else's water.
You know, we just got a new great water station, and I told the person who told Russ, right,
Yeah,
that
Russ.
I'm not going to use your water. I'll just
Right.
fix it myself. So that's because I got burned by chloramines.
Uh-huh.
Morgan Hill, when it gets really warm.
Literally.
Yes, literally. When it gets really hot here in Morgan Hill, they start treating with chloramines in our water supply. I didn't know that in 2017. Just as the tank was starting to take off, I did this water change, and everything was fine the first day or two. But then, like a day or after that, I noticed all my algae just suddenly died. Right, and then the next thing that happened, all my SPS went brown. Then all my softies died. A lot of my LPS made it through that. But since that time, I aerate my water for at least 6 hours before I use it, and I am the only person who mixes up my water. So.
All right. Well, do you have your thing there? Let's see if anybody has any questions before we close down the Let's Talk Reef today. We've still got about 10, 15 minutes before we get to where I usually like to cut off. So let's see if we've got any questions. So this is an amazing tank, you know, and you know, we all share like frags here. Vincent, who's filming right now, you know, has a tank as well at home. He brings in great stuff. He brought in the Walt Disney frag for Paul. I got a 2 polyp little flake off of it inside a you know, the little frag jar or whatever. And Vincent was like, "Hey, yeah, you want this little thing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take that." And but yeah, we all share a lot of different corals that we get from our different travels to shows and whatnot. And it's fun. We're all very passionate about reef keeping, and maybe one of these times here in the near future, we'll do a tour over at my place and see some of the corals and whatnot. There.
That'd be fun.
Invite some people over and talk about all the stuff going on in my tank.
We did a little bit that at Black Friday, I think,
Yeah.
But I don't think we really dived into the filtration. So
Yeah.
I think it would be.
I just need to get somebody to help me get that straightened out so it's actually presentable now.
Brian.
Yes. Yes.
So not a lot of comments here. People really enjoyed
Okay.
it. It seems like it's pulling back the
Okay.
curtain a little bit of what Neptune Systems looks like. You know, I know a lot. I think Terrence already covered it. Where the Tridents, you know, we're building them every day, guys. We're shipping them every day. It's not a product we can rush.
Maybe we'll take one of those and raffle it off at Reefapalooza.
This is the oldest running Trident right here.
Yeah.
This is the oldest running one. This is the one we carried around to the shows. I think this was maybe even New Orleans.
Some people said that the ones at the shows never worked. That
Really?
It's all fake.
No, this is. I think this is. No, the one on Kurt's desk is older, but I think this is the second one, and you know we're just running the burn test on them. And we don't. You can't have a crystal ball and know what something's going to run like in 3 or 4 years.
It's
true.
true.
So.
All right, well, let's walk back on over to my office. Like I said, we're going to check out what's going on. Thanks, Paul.
Hey,
Appreciate
see
it,
you guys. You hit the light when you go.
Yeah, thanks. All right. Let's head back. Somebody keeps leaving this door open for the lunchroom. I don't know what that is. Okay. Back this way. Go through production, which is off limits. Now we'll stop into my office real quick here and take a look at. Oh, you know what? Well, let's first talk about this. So here's my office. So over there in the corner is where hopefully at some point I'm going to put some tank. I don't know what I'm going to put there. So if you guys have any suggestions, put them in the comments. I'd love to know. I had a little nano before. I don't think I want a nano. I think I want something a little bit bigger. But I do have 600 gallons to take care of at home. So I don't know. It's kind of like this about having one in the office. But let's check this out. Just got some fish in today. So let's do this. This is for me to take home. What do we have here? Look at that.
Exquisite.
Exquisite firefish, dude. This is amazing. And something that Sanjay, name drop, had that I loved, which some people will be like, what do you mean? Are these little damsels? These are actually Rollandi, or Roland's damsels, okay? Or they call them black caps, I think, or something like that. And that's not the color that they normally are, but what I loved about these particular fish were that they actually create these little caves and pair up as like a spawning area in your tank. And they're not super aggressive. So anyway, let me get back onto the normal Let's Talk Reef. Maybe see if you have a couple of questions. And we'll go ahead and shut this thing down. And let's see. Back over here. Okay.
Okay, hopefully you guys can still hear me. And good. Wow. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little tour of some of the Neptune Systems tanks. It was, it hopefully showed the passion that we have for reef keeping. We're not just selling products here. We do this, it is a job, but we also do it because we love it and we love aquariums. Definitely, you see Paul's tank. He just loves that thing. It's by him every day. We take a look at like BRS, same thing. I was at BRS's office not too long ago, and everywhere there's aquariums, and that's just the greatest thing when you know that a manufacturer or an online vendor is just that much into the hobby. Okay, let's see. Let's see if there's any questions. Mark says, I need Eric's 12-gallon in that corner. He's talking about Eric, who has the crazy nano. Rob says I should do a discus tank. That's an interesting idea. I actually like Julian's tank that he had the discus in. I can't remember, did it have mangroves or... I can't remember there was something growing out of the top and they were swimming in and out of it. Not super big into the freshwater, so I don't remember, but I remember seeing all the discus. Let's see. Oh, not many other questions here. We're going to have more supply of Tridents. I mean, every day. Every day they're going out to dealers. So it's as fast as we can get them out, we're getting them out there. Thanks, Steve, for stopping by. Okay, so again, thanks again for joining us, guys. The next episode, great things happening in the next episode. Thanks for sticking with us. Next episode, we're actually going to have Mark Callahan. Mr. Saltwater Tank is going to be here in the studio. Okay, so get your questions ready for him because the two of us are going to be side by side here talking reef and taking your questions. Hopefully, we'll get some good stuff ahead of time that we can discuss. That's 2 weeks from today. Today is what, the 4th? That puts us at the 18th. So that's 2 weeks from today, Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Join us here on Let's Talk Reef. Thanks again for stopping by guys, and being part of this whole experience we call Let's Talk Reef. And until next time, enjoy those fish. And later.